The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Channel switched.
Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Coming to you live from New York. Today is June the 27th. This is episode number 18 of All You Can Eat. I am your host, Rob Rosenthal. Welcome to everybody who is listening in live across the internet or up in Boston. Hello to my friends up in Boston, and for those of you who are live on the radio, particular shout out to you because I spent this past weekend happily Cape Cod, was up there for a wedding, and I'll tell you what, even though the weather wasn't fantastic, you know what was? The food. Which is perfect because, as you know, All You Can Eat is a podcast about deliciousness, try to have some fun with food, and because we're right in the very beginning of summer, once again, let's talk about some of the great summer foods. I'm excited about tonight because I get to talk about some of my favorite foods. That includes pizza, and ice cream, and hot dogs, and lobster rolls, and fried clams. And I will tell you folks, if you want to get in on the action, this is the telephone number to call, and we'll try the call-in system. If you're interested in sharing some observations with me about food, especially foods of summer, the number is 800-508-5431. Episode 18, All You Can Eat. And like I said, summer. I, for one, think summer is just a great time to eat. And you know why it's a great time to eat? It's a great time to eat because there's a lot of food coming out of the ground and out of the sea that's so damn good, so delicious in its natural state that you don't have to do much to make it any better. But that's beautiful cooking to me. One ingredient, two, three. This is one of those where it's kind of like less is actually more. And I find for that reason that it's a great time to cook. Plus, you get to go outside and throw some things on the grill, right? That's good. Can't complain about that. Easy. And that's one ingredient stuff. You know what I do? I will go to Costco and I will buy a package of kielbasa. And I don't have to tell you. Those who understand Costco know that that packages are big. There's enough kielbasa in there to feed a Boy Scout troop, a bunket camp. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, I will get that kielbasa and throw that on the grill, on the charcoal grill. And I'm going to be honest, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if all you had was that, maybe some mustard. I happen to like the Dijon, but any mustard would do. And you grill that stuff up. You have it with some. That's just so delicious. It's just so great. And so easy. I think easier even than sausage in the sense that when kielbasa is already cooked. So really what you're doing there is you're kind of charring it. My mouth is watering, actually. I'm thinking about the kielbasa. Great on its own. And you know what else? What if you put the kielbasa on a hot dog roll? It's just beautiful eating. But my point is only that summer, simple and delicious. The problem is, and I did make reference to this last week, is that no one's actually cooking anymore. Nobody's going out and cooking anymore. It's become too difficult for people to do. Not just my point of view. I will repeat what I had said last week. The Wall Street Journal article, "Can't anyone here cook anymore? Food companies and supermarkets threatened by the rise of takeout, drive-thrus, and meal kits." People don't want to cook anymore. Americans have always eaten out. What's changed is the growth of restaurant meals eaten at home, both delivered and via takeout or drive-thru, and most recently prepared meal kits. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, food spending for meals prepared at home grew less than 2% a year from 2013 to 2016, while spending on meals prepared elsewhere grew more than 20%. In fact, last year was the first time in history that more money was spent on going out to eat and drink than on groceries. Home-cooked meals could become a thing of the past. According to a recent research report, this is done by UBS, it's entitled, "Is the Kitchen Dead? Growth of food delivery apps could mean that no one does their own cooking at home in the future." The report estimates that by 2030, online food delivery will be worth $365 billion versus today's $35 billion market. People ain't cooking anymore. Harvard Business Review. 15%, 10% of consumers, this is Harvard, this is not some, this is not some jokey operation. 10% of people professed a love of cooking, 45% that they outright hated it, and another 45% were ambivalent. They were on the fence, they take it or leave it. And then finally, from, I believe, Business Insider, but it doesn't matter, millennials are cooking less, and they are cooking less because, why? Because it's easier not to cook. It's just as easy to hit their app on their phone and have something ordered and delivered. Now, so what? I mean, I guess the thing for me is, as a guy that loves to actually prepare the food, maybe I am in the minority. And I understand ease and convenience. I understand that you have more, two-family kind of, two earners in the family. You have both people out there, working, mom and dad. People are busy. They don't want to spend the time cooking. And then, of course, it's easy, right? Because you have Seamless and you have Postmates and you have Caviar. These services that are sending in food from restaurants. It's like, it's kind of easy, and it's not just any restaurants. I mean, I was shocked when I went to the Caviar website. I live in a city where there's a lot of great restaurants, and there's a lot of great restaurants that Caviar delivers from, right? But the other thing is that, I don't know, cooking at home has been made easier as well, right? When I went grocery shopping earlier, what's today, Wednesday? Yeah, Monday. I'm looking around, like there's a weird phenomenon that's happening now in supermarkets that I'd never seen before. There's a whole ton of people that are wearing jackets and staring at their phone and filling up baskets, and it occurred to me they're not actually shopping for themselves. These are the people that are sent in by the delivery companies, just fulfilling orders. But that means that it's somewhat easier. If you don't have to shop it yourself when you get home, their ingredients are there, right? I'm talking about Instacart, Peapod, Amazon Fresh, Fresh Direct, the services. And, the other part of the story is that I noticed, not that this is new or a revelation, but you go into the supermarket and there's a lot of stuff that's already prepared. Onions are already chopped, and celery is already chopped, and fruits and vegetables are already chopped, and they've spiralized the, the squash, or, the prep work has been done, but the prep work has been done to make it easier to prepare at home. And then you have meal kits, right? You have Blue Apron and you have HelloFresh, and you order the meal kit. So they've essentially done the prep, but leave the final construction of the meal up to you. Now, I'm not a user because I'm fine, chopping my own carrots. But the thing is, I don't even know if the Blue Apron and the HelloFresh are catching on, because it may be that they're asking people to do too much work just by having to finally, compose the meal at the end. And I guess, I don't, I'm baffled in the sense that, like I said, I think summer is the greatest time to cook because you have these wonderful ingredients, that you don't have to do a lot with. They require very little work. Like I said, more is actually less, or less is more, however you want to look at it. whether it's the kielbasa or the tomato or the strawberry or the watermelon or the corn or the clam. Summer cooking to me is like the easy stuff. And I'll throw in, this self-promotional plug, but look, if you're listening, I wrote a book. And I mentioned the book, Short Order Dad. I mentioned it simply because the purpose of it was to get the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort. So you got 100 recipes to choose from, and most of them use like 5 ingredients. It's easy, it's fun, it's quick. I mean, Rachel Ray got famous from a concept called 30-minute meals. And apparently that's too much for people these days. That said, tomatoes are coming up. I look forward to that. Out here, East Coast, that's going to be a July, August thing. But when they're good, man, you don't have to do a lot. But you have the classic caprese salad. Salads, I don't know. Like, salads, I think, are sometimes underappreciated, underrated. But anyway, a great tomato with, the caprese is Italian, originated in Capri, right? So you have a beautiful fat slice of juicy tomato, sweet, fantastic, and then you pair it with a nice piece of mozzarella, or as the Italians might say, mozzarella. In any case, what I would suggest is this: if you're going to make the tomato and mozzarella, again, all you really need there is some fresh basil, olive oil, and salt, and you have this beautiful combination of flavors and textures, and the sweetness from the tomato, the creaminess from the mozzarella, the fragrance from the basil, the smooth, fruity kind of olive oil, and a hit of salt. It's a perfect salad. I just will tell you, for those who don't know, if you're making that salad, here's where you're at an advantage if you can get kind of like better mozzarella. I'm not talking about the stuff that comes in the, in the package, the polio. I mean, that's okay, if you're going to kind of like, grate it up and put it on cheese. But if the ultimate caprese, you want the freshest, softest, most beautiful mozzarella you can get. And it doesn't have to be local, and it doesn't have to be warm, although those are, when it's fresh, I mean, those are great. Even if you pop into the Costco, and again, I'm not paid by them, I just am the Costco ho. But even if you go into Costco, you'll see that in addition to kind of the packaged mozzarella, they have another one that comes from Italy. It's sliced, that's already ready for you to put into the caprese salad. They probably have mozzarella di bufalo, which comes from Italy, and it's soft, and it's packaged in kind of in water, and it's great. But anyway, that's summer cooking to me. Right, you take a piece, as long as you lit up the fire on the grill, I throw a baguette on there for a couple of minutes until it gets like toasty, and then rub it up with some garlic and hit it up with some olive oil, and right on the side there, you got tomato, mozzarella, basil, nice olive oil and salt. You got that salad, and what if you did throw, a kielbasa or an Italian sausage on the grill? Done. Come on, this is not hard stuff, people. Beautiful, it's easy. Here's another salad for you, by the way, during tomato season. I do this one. I picked up the recipe in Bon Appetit when it was actually just a magazine. Magazine of those things that happened before there was online. It came in, it was on paper, and it came in the mail. Anyway, Bon Appetit, I'm going back, 15 years. There was a salad that was composed of big, fat slices of juicy, perfectly ripe tomatoes, and it is served on a platter with gorgonzola cheese, olives, whatever your favorite kind of black olives are, Gaeta olives. Of course, you could do it with the green Cerignola, a bunch of capers, right? And this is the kind of stuff. So gorgonzola is the Italian blue cheese. It's just wonderfully, intensely rich. So it's a different play than the caprese, whereas the caprese has a kind of a mellowness to it, like a smoothness to it, right? Nothing is really kind of, bursting out at you other than the juice from the tomato. When you go into this salad, tomato, gorgonzola, olives, and capers, it's the salad where, it's like if you're one of those people that likes anchovies, that goes in there as well, too. And then you dress it simply, right? Maybe it's a little olive oil. Maybe it's a little. I like red wine vinegar. Some people will use a shot of balsamic. But that's a big old bold salad. And basil, by the way. Throw basil in that. You want some green. Basil and tomatoes are coming up. And that gorgonzola, tomato, olive, caper with some basil and olive oil. So that's just it's like a meal. That's the point. But that's a big tasting meal. Yeah, the salad. I mean, summer, is there a better time to have a salad? What makes a salad? What makes a salad really sexy? What makes it really good? My impression here is this: the first and most important element of the salad, and this is not everybody is going to agree, and if you don't, feel free to chime in. 800-508-5431 if that's what you want to do. 800-508-5431. If the system is working and you want to call in, we can discuss this. But my feeling is that the most important ingredient in a salad actually is the dressing. Why do I say that? Because no matter what else goes in that salad, you can pick the finest ingredients in the world. I don't care what else you put in that salad. If you mess up the dressing, you have destroyed the entire salad. You with me on this? You can have gold bouillon in that salad. You can put lobster and caviar in there. You can have potatoes and string beans. I don't care. You the salad of your dreams. Even for people who don't like salad. You could put together ingredients that make a salad, whatever salad excites you, and if the dressing is no good, you've ruined the whole salad. So what do you do for dressing? Ever since I went to cooking school, I will tell you this, I never purchased salad dressing again in my life. Because even if you don't like to cook, if you are going to have a salad, or at least have some salad dressing, you just make your own. And the reason you make your own is because it's too damn easy, and it's too damn good. And I'm talking here about vinaigrette, which is simply the combination of two elements for the most part, one being an acidic element and the other being oil. Acidity generally in a salad dressing is going to come from a vinegar, whether you like red wine vinegar, champagne vinegar, balsamic vinegar. There's so many different vinegars, I can't even. Right? And then you have oil, and it doesn't always have to be olive oil. It can be a neutral oil. It can be a vegetable oil. It can be a soy oil. It can be or a nutty oil, macadamia nut oil, almond oil, whatever. The point is that you got two primary ingredients that are going to make your vinaigrette. One being the acidic element, one being the oil. And acidity, by the way, can also come from lemon. Right? If you're with people that are not like, I don't really like vinegar. Fine. Lemon. We make a vinaigrette with lemon. And the combination basically the proportion is not complicated. It's going to be 1 part of vinegar to 2 or 3 parts of oil, depending. You will determine your own ratio, but again, it's not complicated. And the way you complete a vinaigrette is by giving it a little bit of extra flavor, what they would call an aromatic. I use garlic. Some people use shallot, and you don't need a lot. You grate in a little bit of garlic or a little bit of shallot. You put in a couple of things, a couple of jugs, a couple of hits of vinegar. I like red wine. Put a couple of hits more of oil, olive. And you put salt and pepper in there. You have vinaigrette. And if you want to just take it one simple step further, you get a little Dijon mustard. That's it. Teaspoon, half a teaspoon. It emulsifies. It helps blend the whole thing together. Put it in a bottle. You put it in one of those shaky bottles. No, anything like this is not complicated stuff. Fresh lemon juice, some olive oil, garlic, Dijon, salt, pepper, shake, mix, blend, vinaigrette. Done. What else makes a salad good? Well, super fresh ingredients generally help, and summertime is great for that. Use what's coming up. I use lettuce, but you don't have to. You can make a salad without it, but you pick your favorite lettuce, right? I like romaine. I like arugula. You're an iceberg person? Fine. Make it with iceberg. You get to choose. And then you see what else is growing, because I think the most important kind of textural ingredient in a salad is crunch. That's how I feel. I want crunch in my salad. And crunch can come from so many different places. So it can come from vegetables, right? I like carrots, I like cabbage, I like sugar snap peas, peppers. It's like whatever your pleasure is, and whatever's coming up out of the ground, you go, I think I'll take that. So carrots, I mean, that's not hard, right? That's a quick peel and a chop, 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 or maybe you grate it so that it's shredded. Cabbage in a salad, I'm a lover. Purple cabbage, crunched up, it's just so crunchy and colorful. Snap peas, sugar snap peas, any kind of peas, green, wheat, crunchy. Peppers, I don't use a ton of peppers. I'm not a lover of the raw pepper, but you know what? I'm not going to turn it down either. Red, yellow, green, boom, crunch, fresh, lovely, delicious. What else goes in that salad? I think, you want to get crazy? Nuts. Nuts. Nuts are always better, by the way, if they're a little bit toasted. That just brings out the flavor. Let's not get started on caramelization, but get nuts raw. You can get them cooked, and when you give them a little cook, they get a little more texture, a little more flavor. Seeds. I've been eating a lot of seeds in my salad these days. What do you like? The pepita, like the pumpkin seeds, a good set. The other one there, sunflower. Ooh, love that. Maybe your crunch comes from some form of crouton, and I don't mean don't buy boxed croutons. They're just never good. And I'm not saying you should make your own. That's too much effort. But there's a way to get crunch. I sometimes will crunch up like tortillas. Like that crunch is great in a salad. You know what else is great in a salad, to be honest with you? Talking about crunch, crunched up potato chips, especially when they're like the, like the kettle cooked ones, right? Salad. Then you want to add, like, I don't know, I don't have to add meat in my salad if I'm not having it for a meal, but I'll tell you what, a little cheese not going to hurt you. What's your favorite cheese? Is it grated? Parmigiano in a salad? That's not going to hurt anybody. That's a beautiful thing. And then, you got that. It's colorful, right? And it's crunchy, and it's loaded with all the stuff that you love. I'll throw in some craisins or some golden raisins sometimes. That little sweet dried cherries. Whoa. The other kind of cheese, by the way, if you're not going to go with like a grated, is what's great in the salad is that, like a soft cheese, like a goat, like a feta. And that's when those walnuts and those pecans are toasted are starting to look good in that salad too, with a couple of craisins. And there's your mustardy lemon vinaigrette. Holy wow. I want that right now. What's the matter with you people? How hard is it to make a great salad? Then the question becomes, chop or don't chop? Now, seriously, nobody chopped salad when there was no such thing as a chopped salad when I was growing up. Then all of a sudden it appeared one day. And now I wonder if I can live without it, because there's something about the chopping of a salad that is rather fantastic, is it not? Chop a salad or you don't chop a salad. Either way, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I love a great salad. But I have to say, I do like it chopped. Get too excited on you, but I like it chopped. Yeah, foods of the summer. Foods of the summer, my friends. Let us talk about hot dogs. Because while they're good all year long, they are really kind of like the prototype, the prototypical great food of the summer. And I'll tell you what, again, there's no better hot dog than the hot dog on the grill. It isn't. Now, let's start with, this conversation starts with, what's the best hot dog you can buy on the rare occasion that you go supermarket shopping? And I can actually give you the answer. And the answer is not coming from me, like, oh, this is Rob's point of view. No, I'm giving it to you from one of the foremost authorities in the world of food and cooking. It's Cook's Illustrated magazine. And Cook's Illustrated is this serious, right? Like, when they do these tests, these kind of taste tests, this is like, it's it's comprehensive, and it's thorough. I mean, they don't mess around, right? So they do a hot dog test. They want to do a taste test of like all of the major brands found in supermarkets. Again, ladies and gentlemen, supermarkets are those places where people go, and there's like a giant collection of all different kinds of foods. And so they don't test pork frankfurters because, hang on a second. I know this is very strange that you're listening to the incoming phone call, but let's see what happens here. Let's just answer the phone together. Hello. Hello. They don't test pork frankfurters because, hang on a second. I know this is very strange that you're listening to the incoming. Now I'm listening to myself. Let's just answer the phone together. Hello. 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 Are you there?
I'm here. I don't know if this is working.
Well, it's working because I can hear you, which means that everybody can hear you.
Wow, that's scary. I have a couple of comments about your salad dressing and salad ingredients and hot dogs.
All right, what do you got?
Working because I can hear you.
Wait. First, you must turn off the sound in the background.
Oh, yeah, how do I do that? Oh, okay. Let me do that. All right. What do you got? Let's see. Oh, crap, I don't know how to turn this on. First, you must...
Well...
Let me turn this off.
Yes. Look, turn it off because otherwise that's all we're hearing.
All right. Well, I'm going away to another part of the thing because I don't even know how to turn my computer off. Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, but I could still... Yes, go ahead. Feel free.
All right, the first thing is I've always found that salad dressing needs a 3-to-1 oil to vinegar. Do you find that 2-to-1 actually works sometimes? I mean, I guess it depends on how strong the vinegar is, but 3-to-1 seems to always be necessary to me to make a salad dressing that isn't too acidic.
Well, so here's the answer to that. I mean, it's a legit question. When they taught us how to make salad dressing in school, the classic ratio is 3-to-1. You're 100% right. What I have discovered on my own since then, however, is that there are times that I like a little extra punch from the vinegar, depending on what's in the salad. So yes, if I were instructing somebody to make salad dressing, 3-to-1 is the ratio. But there are times when you want a little bit less oily and a little bit more acidic, and so I may vary the ratio a little bit.
Okay, the second thing is I love balsamic vinegar. I think it's great vinegar, but it's sweet. I can't stand sweet in my salad dressing, but I sometimes use it. The best vinegar I ever used was vinegar that came from a vinegar mother that a friend of ours had. It was like this, sea creature that was fed leftover wine from bottles that we ate at dinner all the time, and it was just the best vinegar. It was very mild. I think that's what was good for why it was so good. I think milder vinegars seem to be better for salad dressing. I don't know if you agree with that. Well,
here's the thing. I like experimenting with different vinegars. Champagne wine vinegar, lovely. But it turns out that sometimes you go to like an Italian restaurant or a pizza place and they serve a salad that's made with essentially a bottled red wine vinegar and some inexpensive oil, and that dressing is as good as any. So I like the idea of experimenting with different vinegars, but I actually like I'm a simpleton when it comes down to it. I'm a purist, so I don't mind red wine vinegar and oil.
Yeah, I agree. The simpler vinegars that aren't so fancy are probably the best for salad dressing. And then Dijon mustard. I don't know if I'm being... I had a friend who was a food writer, and he and we seem to find that Dijon mustard, which we do use in salad dressing, I find we both found that the Dijon mustard has to come from France. I don't know why, but I think Dijon mustard made locally, United States, I mean, this might be some kind of heresy, it's just not quite as good. Have you any preference between where you get your Dijon mustard from?
Yes, sir. I would like my Dijon mustard from France, from Dijon.
Right.
So I am with you. I'm with you on that.
So isn't that the ingredient that makes the salad dressing emulsify. Isn't emulsifying it essential to having a really good salad dressing?
Well, yes and no. I'm a proponent. I am a fan. As I said, it is exactly the ingredient that emulsifies it, that brings it all together. But if you go into that pizza place and you have that dressing that they throw on, or even if you go to a Greek restaurant and you have a Greek salad, all they're really using to dress it up with is either red wine vinegar and oil, or even lemon and oil. So the Dijon is great if you're making kind of a more classic blended emulsified vinaigrette. But I'm happy, if I don't have it, splashing on a decent vinegar and a decent oil on a salad and salt, and I think it's perfectly good.
Okay, and endive, I have to have that. I know it's called the endive here, but endive in a salad, that's one of my favorite ingredients.
I will make sure to note that.
All right, and the last thing, I know you're about to start on hot dogs. All I remember about hot dogs is my father was a butcher, and he never ate hot dogs. I asked him, why? Why don't you eat the hot dogs? He wouldn't answer. And I said, well, what's in them? And all he said was, everything.
I totally understand, and I thank you for calling, and I am going to now, when I get into the hot dogs, I'm going to tell everybody my own hot dog story. But thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so this is good on a number of counts. One, that the call-in system actually does work. And secondly, as for what's in hot dogs, it's funny, I have a very precise memory. And it was my ninth grade English teacher. I mean, literally, it was junior high, and my English teacher, coincidentally, his name was Mr. Lamb, even though he spelled it with two M's. And there was a day that we were discussing hot dogs, and he said, and I have no, it's one of those things you don't forget. Hot dogs, he said, were made from the 4 Ds. What are the 4 Ds? Cows that are dead, dying, deceased, and disabled. I mean, so I have the same experience that in those days, hot dogs would basically be made with a whole lot of stuff. And yet, here I am looking at Cook's Illustrated, again, something that used to be a magazine, but now is readily available online. And they actually tested only beef hot dogs because they said pork frankfurters today are often bulked up with added poultry or with soy. And so they went with all beef, right? The goal was finding the best supermarket all beef hot dog. And they took the top 7 brands, and they were all skinless, by the way. And they to keep everything consistent, right? They locked away the condiments. They served the hot dogs 2 ways, boiled and bunless, and then grilled and stuffed into buns. So that's what they're testing. And they tested it among their, let me see if I have this right. I want to say there were 21 employees there, right? So they, they do this thing in a serious way. So I take, and by the way, I'll run over some other lists later that I have no confidence in, but when Cook's Illustrated does something, they do it right. So long story short, and that's obviously impossible at this point, the winner for hot dogs among the skinless beef hot dogs that you can buy in the supermarket, it was Nathan's famous skinless beef franks. This product emerged as top dog for its super smoky meatiness and juicy, snappy texture. Tasters thought these plump hot dogs were the perfect size and gave a nice contrast to the bun. This is my ideal dog, said one happy taster. So if you happen to make it to a supermarket, and you want to test what Cook's Illustrated says is your best hot dog, it's your Nathan's big fat all beef franks. All right, so you got that to start with. Now, then, speaking of lists, I am now looking at a list of all the best hot dog toppings, and it's entitled "The Definitive Ranking of Hot Dog Toppings." Now, that obviously is going to be a joke because there's no such thing as a definitive ranking of hot dog toppings. And when you start to go through the list, you realize there's some really horrible things on the list. Anyway, it's Thrillist online. I'm going to read you the list of the top 25 But even they, I mean, so 25 relish. And they make fun of relish. And I got to be honest with you, of all the 25 things on this list, there's only two that I actually like relish on a hot dog. I get it. It's a little sweet, but I like a relish. Lettuce and tomato, I'm sorry. No, not for me. That's number 24. Celery salt, no. These are reference to the Chicago hot dogs where they're throwing on lettuce and tomato and a pickle spear and celery salt and all that other stuff. Not interested. I'm a purist. I'm not interested. Coleslaw on a hot dog, I mean, fine, whatever. Potatoes on a hot dog, that's number 21. Not so interested. Ranch dressing, neither. Thousand Island, no. Sriracha, who cares? Peanut butter. Peanut butter on a dog. This is from the guy who runs Criff Dogs here in New York City. He likes peanut butter and puts some other salty, savory options on it, and it seems weird to me. Jalapenos, maybe pickled, whatever. Now, kimchi is interesting to me because kimchi essentially is fermented cabbage, and I will jump ahead to number one, which is your sauerkraut, right? Your cabbage. But I would rather actually have kimchi on a hot dog because that's Korean fermented cabbage, and it's crunchy and spicy and lovely. Guacamole or avocado, fine if you want to. Again, I'm a purist. Fruit relish, never. All right, here's number 12. Cream cheese. That's just repugnant. I'm sorry. That's just disgusting, the idea of putting cream cheese on a bun. Fried egg. I know people are hot on putting eggs on everything. It's a hot dog doesn't need it. Number 10, ketchup. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you're 6 years old, I'm one of those people. Again, I confess to being kind of a purist, but ketchup on a hot dog just doesn't. It just feels bad to me. Mac and cheese, no. Baked beans, I would have them. But if you're gonna have Franks and beans, you kind of don't need the roll. That's where I'm coming from. Peppers, nah, not interested. Onions. If you're in New York and you're eating those dirty water dogs. And you shouldn't be. But anyway, they do. One of the options is kind of like the steamed sautéed-ish kind of onions. So I understand that. Cheese, number 5. Number 4, chili. Number 3, mustard. This is reminiscent of something that I had in college, which it turns out was really the antidote to some extreme drinking, because college is kind of an opportunity to overindulge. Certainly when it came to alcohol, my school was no different, located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. There wasn't much to do at that point other than to drink, and it wasn't just beer. I actually spent a year living in a fraternity. We threw parties, and that included making punch. Punch was made from grain alcohol. Grain alcohol is somewhere between 190 200% proof, which means it's essentially lighter fluid. But here's the thing about it, and I've told the story before. When you take alcohol like that, colorless and flavorless, and you throw in a can or two of Hawaiian Punch and a bottle of Sprite, it's drinkable, too drinkable. And then at 2 a.m, there were 2 places open in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania that we called Greekers. I think because the owners were Greek, but we called the hot dogs that they served Greekers. They were steamed, as were the buns, nondescript, but you would have them with I think chili is kind of an overpromise. It was a lumpy, unidentifiable, somewhere between brown and gray sauce that went on the dogs. You would get 2 with some of that sauce, and you would get it with some cheese and some mustard and some raw onions, right? And it sounds really repulsive. But, again, it was 2 a.m. You had been doing some heavy drinking. And there was something really delightful about that with the barbecued potato chips and the Yoo-hoo chocolate drink. All was really good until the next day. Number 2, bacon on this list. I don't see it. And number 1, sauerkraut. And like I said, I would rather have kimchi. But, just hot dogs, one of the great foods of summer. As is, my friends, ice cream. And that brings me to today's New York Post. The headline is Chills and Thrills, from pickles to pork rolls, the weirdest new ice cream flavors. Let's start off with the basics here. In the United States of America, here are the 5 most popular flavors, and I think this is fairly reliable. Number one, vanilla, which is so unbelievably dull. But I mean, as a purist, I can't argue that people are just happy with a nice vanilla ice cream. Flavor number 2 is chocolate. Number 3, we start to have some things mixed into the ice cream. People like cookies and cream. Number 4, chips are in, but for some reason it's mint chocolate chip. Not my cup of tea, but I understand it. And then there's chocolate chip cookie dough. So these are like your kind of normal flavors. Today's article in the New York Post about Chills and Thrills. Here's what we have. Some flavors that they're serving here in New York City. One is the mezcal gelato. For those who don't know, mezcal comes up out of the ground, out of the agave, same root that's used to make tequila. And I like mezcal. I like the smokiness, and I would actually like it in gelato. So I don't have a problem with that. They serve with a pinch of sea salt, and people at this place, Laboratorio del Gelato, that's here downtown. They come and they get that, and that sounds good to me. But then there's Taylor ham ice cream. Now Taylor ham ice cream. Again, disgusting is what comes to mind, and yet they say this might be the most Jersey dessert ever. Windy Brow Farms recently rolled out ice cream flavored with local breakfast staple Taylor ham. Taylor ham is a processed pork product, also known as pork roll. It's big in Jersey, and in this case, they combine it with some maple. And what else do they put in this thing? Pork roll, and some maple, and they give it 3 stars. Maple and salty pork. Anyway, there's a flavor. Here's one for you. It's called moringa ice cream. Now, I had never heard of moringa before, but it's the crushed leaf of a moringa tree native to the foothills of the Himalayas, considered to be a superfood. Dairy-free ice cream is made also with avocado, mint, coconut milk, egg yolk, sugar, and crushed moringa leaves. Then it's rolled in moringa powder and served with chopped pistachios, and it's super green and a 5-star rating, according to the New York Post. The coating of moringa powder and pistachios provides a complex nutty texture that complements the not-too-sweet creaminess of the ice cream. So there you have it. There's one I hadn't heard of, but here's another one that falls into, you decide for yourself, but the Cheeto ice cream. The Big Gay Ice Cream Shop, also down here in New York, released a limited time special it didn't think would be a hit. Cheese-flavored soft serve rolled in crushed Cheeto puffs and served in a cone. And now it's been so popular that they're bringing it back. 4 stars. However unappealing the ingredients may seem, and health concerns aside, the Cheeto crunchy surface is satisfying, salty, and savory. And then, let's see, what do they have here? There is sour pickle ice cream. Upper West Side, Lucky Pickle teamed up with sister restaurant Jacob to create this ode to the pickle. Cucumber juice, soft serve, spiked with pickle brine, topped with dehydrated pickle spices. That is, I mean, it's just so disgusting. Anyway, a 1 star. They didn't like it either. And then here's one, also, sometimes people try too hard. This one is the uni and sweet corn ice cream, uni. Sorry, and for people who don't know or aren't sure, uni is sea urchin. The urchin is both the color and the texture of baby, what you would find in a baby's diaper. On the good side, however, it is, and it's not... This is, uni is not a neutral food. This is not I could take it or leave it. Uni is I absolutely love uni or I just hate uni, right? So I come out on the love side because what you get with that uni is you get the whole sense. It's like being at like the essence of the sea right there. It's just something so glorious about it. But when you put it into ice cream, here's the rating of 2 stars. The texture of 2 components are nearly identical, that being the uni and the sweet corn, and the flavor of the corn masks the uni anyway. It just doesn't sound good to me. But there you have it. What I would suggest, and I bring it back to to simple and to summer is when I have people over and I'm making a simple summer meal. I make a dessert, an Italian dessert. It's called affogato, which means drowned in Italian. And it's a combination of ice cream. In this case, the one I kind of made fun of before. It's you could use any, but I mean vanilla is perfect for this. And a cup or a shot of hot espresso on top of it. So what happens when you have ice cold ice cream and hot espresso? You end up mellowing both. The ice cream softens a bit. The espresso comes down in temperature, and you end up with kind of like a strong coffee syrup. And the only thing I do, as someone who likes to gild the lily, is I throw a handful of I use Biggie's cracked toffee, but I mean that's fine. You could use Heath Bar Crunch. You know what I mean? Something crunchy in there. 3 ingredients to magnificent. That's how I play ice cream. For dessert when I'm having some people over, the affogato, vanilla ice cream, shot of espresso, handful of some crunch from like a Heath bar type of situation. Just beautiful. Beautiful. Now, we are looking at 848, and I don't think I'm going to have the time to go through this entire list, but I also came across today a list of the country's most iconic foods by state. Let me see what that looks like right here. Yeah, it's an organization called Flavored Nation. They're doing an event sometime in August 11th, 12th, in Columbus at Columbus Convention Center. An event attendees will experience for the first time ever in the history of food events, chance to feast from sea to shining sea, a true culinary tour of America, and they put together a panel of so-called experts and have identified in each state in our lovely union the kind of iconic food. For example, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama, fried green tomatoes. Not going to argue with this, and I will tell you, as a guy from New York, I didn't grow up with fried green tomatoes, but any chance I have to get them, I will. I love fried green tomatoes. Alaska, reindeer sausage, fine, can't argue with that. And I've had a lot of reindeer because I spent time in Sweden, and I have not been to Alaska, but I trust that a reindeer sausage is their dish. Arizona, chimichangas, no problem with that, a deep fried burrito. Arkansas, fried catfish, makes sense. California, a lot to choose from. It's a huge state, and these experts chose the Southern California fish taco, which I'm a fan of, and do a lot in San Francisco. But Southern California fish tacos, I'm fine. I prefer them when they're not fried. I like the grilled ones, just cleaner and better. What are you going to have out in Colorado? Pueblo chilies, 3 ways, fine. Connecticut, this one kind of surprised me. Warm lobster roll, because I am coming from lobster roll heartland. I was up in Cape Cod. I've spent some time up in Maine. And I consider those to be real kind of like lobster roll, Maine especially, lobster roll heartland. Connecticut, I might have chosen differently. I look at New Haven, and New Haven has some of the best pizza in the entire country. I will not drive up to the northeast coast, as I did this weekend, to get to Cape Cod without a stop in New Haven. And you can go to... Frank Pepe's, and you could go to Sal's, and you could go to Zupardi's in West Haven for a clam pie, which is extraordinary. This time up, we stopped at Modern a Pizza for a perfect sausage pie. I mean, it's just glorious. It's as good as any pie that you can get. And when I say modern, I mean this is modern in New Haven, established 1934, Modern a Pizza. So anyway, they chose, however, a warm lobster roll. There you go. Delaware, scrapple sliders. Okay. Florida, key lime pie. I like key lime pie, and you can only get it in Florida, but I'll tell you what, stone crabs, if I were voting. Georgia, peach cobbler, makes sense. In Hawaii, the plate lunch with Kahlua pig and pineapple rice. I don't know why Spam isn't in there as well, but that's fine. What are you getting in Idaho? Finger steaks. That's I guess like chicken fingers, except that they're fried little pieces of steak. Illinois, deep dish pizza. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is. Like, I don't know. I that's probably why they didn't. I don't know. Deep dish pizza, fine. Illinois. Indiana, breaded tenderloin sandwich. Iowa, the corn dog. Kansas, sour cream and raisin pie. Kentucky, the hot brown. The lovely sandwich out there in Kentucky. Turkey, bacon, in kind of a cheesy Mornay sauce, open-faced. I can totally understand that choice. Louisiana, gumbo. Great. Louisiana is gumbo. And it's awesome food all over that state. There's a ton of things you could have chosen, but gumbo is the exact right dish for that. Maine. Okay, well, there you go. Lobster roll. That's exactly right. I think that's right. I think Maine, lobster, beautiful. Maryland, crab cake, yes. Massachusetts, New England clam chowder. I had a beautiful New England clam chowder this weekend up in Cape Cod. It's just perfect. Creamy, chunks of potato, slightly smoky, big chunks of the quahog. Yeah, the clam. Great. Michigan, I don't know, coney dog. So it's a hot dog. Whatever. Fine. I would have thought that Michigan, they could have come up with something, but better. But okay, fine. Minnesota, wild rice soup. That's funny. That's wild. That's considered wild in Minnesota. Wild rice soup. Mississippi mud pie. Fine. Missouri barbecue. That's a good call. Because both, whether you're in St. Louis or whether you're in Kansas City, you're going to have some fine-ass barbecue over there. Good for you. Montana, the bison burger with huckleberry barbecue sauce. Fine. Nebraska, the Runza sandwich. Okay, that one I hadn't heard of. Runza is a yeast dough bread pocket with a filling of beef, cabbage, onions, and seasoning. The sandwich originated in Russia, spread to Germany before it came to Nebraska. There you go, the Runza sandwich. Nevada's taken the prime rib. I want a prime rib. I haven't had one in forever. It's almost worth going to Vegas for. New Hampshire, pumpkin soup. New Jersey, there it is, the pork roll, now available in ice cream flavor. New Mexico, enchiladas with Christmas on the side. Okay, whatever that means. New York. Okay, I come from New York. Here's what they've chosen for New York, ladies and gentlemen. The buffalo chicken wings. Now, I'm not going to disparage that because I love them. And they're great. I don't know if I would have chosen that, but I'm not going to complain either because there are too many things to choose. And buffalo chicken wings are a phenomenon. They just are. And I love eating them, and I love making them, and all you really need is, aside from the wings themselves, is you need some Frank's hot sauce, which you can get at Costco, 2 bottles, giant, and butter. Although I caught a recipe yesterday that might have thrown in some, speaking of vinegar, might have thrown in some vinegar and garlic, but buffalo chicken wings out of New York. There's pastrami, too. I mean, there's pizza. There's a lot of stuff, but chicken wings. North Carolina pulled pork with East Carolina vinegar sauce. Well, there you go. North Dakota, Nofia type of dumpling in soup. Ohio, Buckeyes, also referred to candies that happen to look like the nut of the Buckeye tree. Oklahoma, fried okra. Interesting. Oregon, Marionberry pie. Pennsylvania, Philly cheesesteak. Fine. Rhode Island, Johnny cakes with maple syrup. I could go for that. South Carolina, shrimp and grits. Well, they called that one right. You go, South Carolina. Shrimp and grits. I'd have that anytime. Here's another thing I hadn't heard of before today. Honestly, I guess because I haven't been to South Dakota, but chislic. Chislic is a traditional dish of chopped red meat originating from Russia and Caucasus, now a staple across the state of South Dakota. Cubes of wild game, mutton, lamb, or beef, half-inch, deep-fried or grilled, seasoned with garlic salt, served on a skewer. Tennessee, Nashville hot chicken. Love that. Love that fried chicken with that hot on it, man. That's good. Texas, chicken fried steak. You go, Texas. Utah. This one makes me laugh. Artisanal chocolate? I didn't know that. Just didn't. Utah, artisanal chocolate. Vermont, cheddar cheese apple pie. Okay, fine. Virginia, Old Dominion ham biscuits. Well, ham and Virginia go together, so biscuits make sense to me. Washington State, cedar plank salmon. Could not agree more. Had that in Seattle. Fantastic. West Virginia, pepperoni rolls. All right, West Virginia. Wisconsin, bratwurst, perfectly good call. Bratwurst and beer, you are in Wisconsin. And Wyoming, got through the whole list. Bison meatballs. Boop, 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 boo. The 50 iconic foods of the United States of America. Right on time for me to say to you people that it's always fun to be with you, to talk about food. On the podcast, All You Can Eat, episode number 18. You need a book?
User left your channel.
You need a book? Tell you how to cook? Short or the Dead, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, life is short. Never waste a meal. Good night. Until next Wednesday, this is Rob Rosenthal, your host.
User disconnected from your channel. User joined your channel.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on